I want you, for just a moment, to imagine you're going out to a nice dinner with your partner. I want you to imagine ordering a nice prime rib steak with all the fixings like corn, a baked potato, maybe some asparagus, and a side salad. I want you to imagine the waiter selling you on the prime rib. You're excited. After all, they have a pretty renowned chef in the back and she'll be personally overseeing the cooking of your dinner. Sounds pretty damn good, doesn't it? Well, imagine your steak dinner shows up. The steak itself is overcooked because you eat it rare like any freedom-loving man should. The corn is still raw, and instead of butter and chives in your baked potato, the chef decided to take a big liquid shit right in the middle of it.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
That, dear viewers, is what it was like watching Materialists at my local cinema yesterday. Let's talk about it.
Say what again? Say what again? Say what again? Say what again?
You know, I was actually having a pretty damn good Father's Day yesterday until I decided that checking out Materialist was a good idea. See, people are seemingly split down the middle, with half of moviegoers praising it for its profound themes and performances, heralding this thing as an instant Oscar and Academy Award contender. Then there's the other half, who doesn't give a shit about any of that, just wants to watch an entertaining film, because who in their right mind gives a damn about award ceremonies anymore? I know I don't. Well, my friends, I absolutely fall into the latter category, so grab your absurdly high dating expectations, break your legs so you can grow taller, and let's get into this.
Whoa. Here I come. Oh, here I come. Oh.
So Materialist has us following along with Lucy, who's portrayed by Dakota Johnson, at her return to the big screen after the wondrous experience that was Madam Web.
But I'm no superhero. You know, I feel it all the same.
I'm also not a superhero. Tried, failed.
You're goddamn right.
And Lucy is a self-described failed actress turned high-profile matchmaker for the wealthy. I mean, seriously, guys, there's a whole conversation where Lucy talks about how she can't act, and she has the inability to stand up in front of people and speak. But on the nose, if you ask me. Isn't that right, Dakota?
Tried, failed.
Anyway, Lucy is celebrating the 9th wedding she helped set up until, oh no, the bride is having second thoughts, wondering why she's trading in her independence to be a more traditional wife. Lucy springs into action, talks to the bride, and come to find out she's only getting married because it makes her sister jealous? I guess her husband is taller, better looking, and richer, and that makes her sister jealous. If that isn't the perfect definition of modern day dating, I don't know what is. So Lucy saves the day, convinces the bride that her soon-to-be husband sees her as valuable, and off to the reception we go, where Lucy runs into the very eligible, very wealthy, very tall Harry Castillo. I know he's all those things because the film makes sure to tell us 20 fucking times. Well, Harry is portrayed by Pedro. Holy shit, it's this guy again, Pascal, and something tells me it didn't take much to get him on board for this role. Hell, half the time they're together, Lucy's just telling him how great he is, calling him a unicorn in the dating industry, and I bet it was real tough to sell a role like that to old Pedro. Anyway, while Madam Web and Reed Richards are talking, guess who shows up? Captain America himself.
I do not understand.
I do. I understood that reference.
I mean, Chris Evans. Chris Evans shows up, and what a stroke of luck that he's catering the wedding because he's Lucy's ex-boyfriend.
Right.
And therein lies the central focus of Materialists, Lucy being put in the middle of two men, one being the picture-perfect example of what a man should be, because we all know Pedro Pascal is the definition of that, I guess, and the other being very flawed, very poor, and very downtrodden. Now, you would think Pascal's character would be the obvious choice. After all, the film chooses to beat the shit out of us with how relationships are nothing but a business transaction and can be reduced down to basic formulas of compatibility, but Chris Evans is Chris Evans, you see, and he has one thing Pedro Pascal doesn't have with Lucy. That's chemistry. I think. I'm unsure.
Why are you the way that you are? Honestly, every time I try to do something fun or exciting, you make it not that way.
I think Materialist's biggest failure is that it posed itself as something it wasn't in all of the marketing material and trailers. I fully expected to walk into a goofy rom-com with Lucy as the central focus and facing the challenges of dating two different men with two different lifestyles. Except, nope, that's not what we got at all.
Fuck.
Instead, we got a surface-level exploration of modern dating and the materialistic, shallow expectations that come with it. Men won't date certain women because they're too fat or too old, and on the other hand, women won't date certain men because they're not tall enough, don't make enough money, or don't have enough hair. If that sounds stupid, that's because it is, and what could have been a fun romp through some of these ridiculous stipulations, especially for people staring down the barrel of middle age, ended up being a grim, bleak, 2-hour sleepwalk that was less entertaining than watching my fucking front lawn grow.
Fuck.
Then you would think, for this being a not-so-rom and even more not-so-com, the actors would actually have a bit of chemistry together.
Well, duh.
Pascal does what he always does. He turns in a performance just above the line of decent, but despite him trying to tell us multiple times that he's in love with Lucy by showering her with expensive gifts, costly dinners, and spur-of-the-moment trips halfway across the world, not once did I see any of this translate to actual on-screen chemistry between the two actors. And that goes double for Lucy and Chris Evans, who spend half the film yelling at one another and Lucy constantly berating him because he's poor. I shit you not, there's one scene where she gets out of a car in a busy New York City street and says, "I don't want to hate you because you're poor." Well, alright then. Oh, and Chris Evans voted for Bernie Sanders. He makes sure to say that, because of course he did. Now that I think about it, Bernie and I actually have something in common. I was trying hard not to fall asleep during this fucking film. God, those memes were great. The thing is, next to nothing happens in Materialists. It's just a slow trek through romantic themes, if you want to call them that other films have explored more efficiently, and enough random cursing to warrant an R rating. Well, that, and director Celine Song decided to randomly throw a sequence in here where one of Lucy's clients gets sexually assaulted by a guy that she was set up with. Yep, I'm being serious. Sophie, I think her name is, gets assaulted by a man, blames Lucy. When Lucy goes to her boss to voice some distress with the situation, her boss pretty much just says, shit happens. It's happened to all of us. Wait, what? That's an interesting way to handle this ordeal. But what do you know, the assault only happened so that we could push the narrative along. Because according to Maria Adgatitis, a 17-year veteran matchmaker herself, this shit just doesn't happen. At least not to her knowledge, and there's no way the manager of the firm would react the way that she did. As a matter of fact, Adgatitis warned matchmaking firms against watching Materialists, telling People magazine that, "I don't see myself in this. I was trying to warn some matchmakers. I know you're about to throw a whole movie screening for this, but tread carefully." I don't know what else to tell you. Gee, it's kind of telling when veteran matchmakers aren't endorsing your film, based on matchmaking.
He's out of line, but he's right.
Well, I think this goes without saying, but I gotta do it anyway because it's kind of my thing. We happy?
Say what again? Say what again? I dare you. I double dare you, motherfucker.
Hell no, I'm not happy. I don't care how many media pundits, professional critics, and blue-haired Tumblr users tell me Materialist was great. It wasn't. It wasn't the rom-com it portrayed itself to be. It wasn't a playful exploration of modern-day dating tropes, and it wasn't an entertaining watch. It was a boring slog of a film forcing us to watch actors with zero chemistry together somehow fall in love, and was so terrible in using a very serious, very abrasive subject like sexual assault just to push the story along that real-life matchmakers are warning people against it. Anyway, I appreciate y'all for checking out my review. I'll talk to y'all later.